what you need. Get away from me. I know what you need. And I'm so confused. Get away from me. I love that song by Tim's. I'm not what you need. It reminds me of the song Whitney Houston, I'll Always Love You. You know, because it's like, no, it's not you, it's me. You know. But I wanted to talk about something I saw on Xena Stories, and her channel mainly talks about witchcraft and like spiritual things and stuff. So I watch it for entertainment, but it's actually like good stories or whatever. Like, I always like stuff like that. I find it very intriguing. I am Christian and I do believe in the Holy Spirit, so of course I believe in the devil as well. It's not just a scripture, but it's true. But greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. Meaning that if you stay prayed up, and what made this lady do the post. So basically with Xena Stories, she does other people's stories. So the person who she spoke about was a person who she was talking about prayer. And I've spoken about it on my channel. I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for prayer. Of course, my father, shout out to him, very intelligent man. He's very big on second opinions. The doctor told my parents to get an abortion. So my father was like, that doesn't sound right. Let's get a second opinion. So they got the second opinion and I'm here, you know. I had one foot longer than the other. What else? My father was in ICU and almost died. My father was in a bad car accident and recovered within a year. I was in a car with him when I was little, and if it wasn't for that, y'all know how those of y'all who grew up like in apartment buildings, they have like a parking garage that has a wall. My father like lost control of the car, and if it wasn't for that wall, we would have definitely went over, and that was a big height. I just feel like daily occurrences in life, like, you know, we don't have to be here. That's why it's life and living is considered a blessing, because somebody could shoot you dead right in your home. You know, it doesn't matter where you live. You could go to work and a customer, no matter what industry you're in, somebody could just bug out and start shooting. You know, we live in a crazy world, so I don't take life for granted at all. I'm here for a purpose, a reason, and I thank God for it. But I wanted to talk about this because it's so important to another message to my single mothers. The previous story was about a single mom and she got with a dude, and this is like a similar story except for they got married. So one thing that struck to me is that she had one kid and her son was about 7 to 8, and looking back in hindsight, he got with her to make her life miserable. And men do that without witchcraft, but in this case, her husband had passed away from a car accident. So naturally, like all women would do, she called his mother, and her reaction was, instead of saying, oh my God, you know, and consoling her like a normal mother-in-law, she says, you pray too much. It was supposed to be you. We've been going to witches and covens. A coven, I looked it up, is a group of witches. So one thing about people who do witchcraft, and I did explain this, they do eventually tell on themselves. And then sometimes when you go back and ask them, they'll act like you don't know what they're talking about, because they're literally in a trance oftentimes, right? So I believe if she was to go to her mother-in-law would probably deny it, because it's like low-key possession, you know. So yeah, like, and that's very frightening for somebody to, and I can't imagine how she felt in that moment. Like, she's grieving, she just found out that her husband passed away, and his mother says, ugh, you pray too much, it was supposed to be for you. Like, what? Like, what? Like, I have heard some things, you know, I've heard, why couldn't it be have been, I've heard people say that, like, damn, why couldn't have it been, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm not perfect. Certain people pass away and it's like, damn, but his best friend or whoever, they was more of a messed up person, you know. Even my ex, like, he said, like, when it came down to his mom and stepdad, when his mom died so young, he was angry because his stepdad, who wasn't the best person, lived to be like 80, not 5 years old, and he just couldn't understand, like, why couldn't it be the other way? Like, you know, and that's normal, because, you know, if you don't have a good relationship with somebody, you're not going to want them to live that long, right? He was close to his mom. So we're all guilty of that. But to come out and say, oh, it was supposed to be you, that's so frightening, you know. And I just wanted to talk about that briefly. Like, be careful. And I could truly say this because, you know, my son is grown now, and you know, when he was little growing up, you're gonna have plenty of opportunity to date as a woman. The easiest thing to get is a man. And I was just thinking about that, like, I was watching some videos on YouTube, and Mimi was telling K Michelle, oh, you don't have a man. Like, okay, that's the easiest thing to get, like, literally. And it's only women that say that to other women. Like, you act like it's a prize or a car or a degree, like something that's hard to get. Like, it's not hard to get. Like, you know, that's not hurting nobody's feelings. That, trust me, a man is the easiest thing to get. So don't ever feel like you have to have a man. If you choose to have a man, that's nice. But to all my single mothers out there, you know, I could speak on it. Sometimes it will feel extra lonely because you feel like you failed at life. And I could tell you, because I'm at that age and my son is almost grown. My son is 17. You are not a failure if you do not provide a stepfather. I'm going to say that louder for the people in the back. You are not a failure if you do not provide your child or children with a stepdad. Okay? You are fine all by yourself. I cannot tell you how many stories that I've heard of women that were single moms and passed away because they got with the wrong man. Now, you know, and it's sad because, especially like with Fatal Attraction on TV1, the dads are not around. So now they don't have a dad, and now they don't have a mom because some stupid person, some demonic person took their mother away. And it's so prevalent in the black community. It's so sad, you know. And that particular incident was about witchcraft, and she was like looking in hindsight, and she prays a lot, and the Lord talks to her, and she's been in therapy. He only got with her to destroy her life and to make her more of a single, to make her struggle more, basically. Because she had her one child, and then together they made 3. So I just wanted to stress that and reiterate that some of these men, they come into your life because they see you got it going on, they see that you independent, and they want you to depend on them. What better way to fuck up your life than to impregnate you, and now you don't have childcare, and now you can't accomplish the things that you can because you have all these kids. but the devil is a liar, and you will accomplish your goals. I'm talking to somebody. If you have a goal in mind, you want to go back to school, you're trying to get a job, stay focused and God will see you through. Trust me, and I could speak on it. And you have even family members that will talk down to you and whatever. Don't listen to that. God got your back. Trust and believe, and your children will succeed. My son is a success story. I'm gonna keep bragging about him because it could have been another way. I'm not rich. I wasn't raised rich. I'm not with his dad. And to God be the glory, he is a magnificent, awesome kid. So to all my single mothers, don't feel like, oh, I have to have him I have to provide my children a stepdad, because family members and people will get into your ear and say, you failed as a woman and no. You fail as a woman and as a mother if you have the wrong man enter your life, right? I know a girl who, she has a few siblings, about 4 or 5, no, 6 of them? Yeah. Her mother had 6 children. Her mother was married 4 times, and 2 of the husbands molested them. And it's amazing to me that she talks to her mother, because she unfortunately went through that, and then she thinks, she's not sure, but she thinks her brother went through it as well. But I can't imagine making wrong choice after wrong choice. I'd rather just be single, and I never let my boyfriends watch my son. Never. I never needed them to God be the glory. So that's the other advice that I want to give to single moms. Like, don't let them be a caretaker. True, anything can happen at any time, true. But if you're dating someone, leave it at that. They don't need to, I don't think there's anything wrong with meeting your child. But when you are dependent on that boyfriend for food, clothing, and shelter, childcare, that's no good. I feel like that's not. Now, obviously, if you get married, that's different. But when you're dating, I don't think those responsibilities should be on a boyfriend, because all type of hell could break loose, and a lot of things could, to each their own. But I'm just saying, like, don't be anxious to have a stepdad. My son has never had a stepdad. I've had boyfriends, but I wouldn't consider it stepdad, like, nah. Stepdad, to me, when I think of stepdad, I think of like somebody like taking him to school, picking him up. My ex did that like once, but it's not like he was emergency contact, or it's not like he was, living in the house. Like, he was there like a lot of days, but he wasn't living with us. Like, I don't believe in the shacking thing. But yeah, like, as a woman with children, you have to be careful. You have to be extra careful, because these are your children. And the worst thing that a woman could ever do to herself is to have more children by the next man, and then he's a deadbeat. Now you got 2, 3, and 4 baby daddies. And even if you marry them, that's still a baby daddy. Because that's still bad, because now he's an ex-husband / baby daddy. So I think that's still bad. Like, now some people are lucky and they get them a stepdad for their kids and they happily ever after. But for the most part, it's not. It's ended in death. It's ended in all two different types of, tomfoolery. Most women I know, they get with a man, make more kids, they end up a single mom instead of 1. Now you a single mom of 4, and it's sad, but it is okay. And I wanted to stress that in this video. It's okay to stay single. Like, there's no rule in law that says ye must be married. It's a beautiful thing to get married. It's a beautiful thing to get into a relationship and boyfriend, whatever. But it's too much going on. For real, women are dying because of having a mate. And she almost died because they was doing voodoo on her. But this man came into her life. She was a little naive when it came to infidelity, because obviously if the man is coming in at 6 in the morning, where you think he is, you know, stuff like that. um After he died, she said that there was women hitting up his phone because they didn't know he was dead yet, right? So he would put wrong names like Christopher. He would spell the name wrong or whatever, so she wouldn't know. So like, yeah, she found all that out after he died. And he died in a car accident. Like, he was driving 140 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And it's like, the question is, why was he driving so fast? I feel like he low-key like wanted to commit suicide, because that doesn't make sense. And he was coming from the club. That's the crazy part. Like, he told her he was gonna be home at 8. She texted him at 11, like, yo, you know, you always do this, da da da. He had already died at 9:45. Like, he had left the club at like 9, like after 9. And it was just crazy because when she texted him, he was already dead, but she didn't know, you know. But yeah, it's a short story. She actually talks for an hour, but that's the short version. Like, yeah, her mother-in-law tried to put voodoo on her. That's some crazy shit. But the full meaning behind it is, just be careful. You know, you don't necessarily have to. And she's a Christian. She's a woman of God. I feel bad for her that she didn't see the signs beforehand and to walk away, because that's one thing I'm happy about. Like, I always look at signs, and I don't give a fuck with no, you know, some people try to shame you because you're a certain age and you haven't been with somebody 10-15 years. Listen, I'm happy that I had enough wisdom to walk away when it was time to walk away. I'd rather have 10 different boyfriends than to be with a man for 10 years and he trying to ruin my life. That's just me, you know. Or I'm dead now because, and that's another thing, another new trend is people are getting proposed to, getting engaged, and dying the next week. Or people getting married and their husbands are killing them out of nowhere. It's just I don't know if it's something in the air, I don't know if it's something in the water, but I find myself praying a lot. And it's not just because, you know, whatever, but it's just too much going on, for real. On a serious note, like, I'm like low-key paranoid of dating, because I don't know, you know, is this person going to try and hurt me? Are they going to try to, you know, unalive me? Like, it's just so scary, you know. It's so scary, you know. And that's what I wanted to say in this video. Like, just make sure that you look at the signs. I'm sure, like, him not coming home at night when they were married, I'm sure he was doing that when they were dating, you know. I'm sure there were signs, but she said that she was praying and they fasting and she thought he was the one. And that's the worst thing you could do to yourself as a woman, you know. Children are a blessing, but now she has 4 children she has to raise on her own. His mother not helping, clearly. Like, she wanted to put a curse on her. So for me, I wouldn't even let my children around her. Like, I'm not gonna let my children around somebody who try to put a hex on me. Like, no. So she gotta move on with her life without that side of the family, because that's crazy, you know. But comment, like, and subscribe if you've ever had a mother-in-law who didn't like you, or if you've just been in a situation where you know, the stepfather of your kids just wasn't shit or whatever. But comment, like, and subscribe. And yeah, those are my thoughts. The channel that I watch is Zena Sessions. Yeah, those are my thoughts.